Good morning and welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. Yes, once again, entirely on Zoom and YouTube. I am the Reverend Dana Worsnop, minister of this congregation that I am so honored to serve. We are also very happy to be able to welcome the good people of the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara, as the Reverend Julia Hamilton and her family are recovering from a mild encounter with COVID. These pandemic times are revealing to us again and again, over and over, how much we need each other and that we can count on each other. So I welcome to you. Welcome to you all. I understand that you are joining us from your own Zoom sanctuary, and so you'll be joining your own Zoom breakout rooms after the service. Welcome, welcome. Our theme for worship for this month is living with intention. And doesn't mean necessarily getting things right and certainly not perfect, but continuing to practice this human merely being thing with attention and presence. It has become a practice for this community to acknowledge that the land each of us are on is the ancestral home of Indigenous peoples. In most of Ventura and Santa Barbara counties, this is several branches of the Chumash peoples. This has become something we practice doing so that we can live with attention and presence to their heritage and to the full history of how we all came to be here on the land we occupy. Just a couple of announcements. For the good people of Ventura and Santa Barbarans, just listen on in for just briefly for this one. The next 2 Sundays after church, we will have meetings about generosity and our finances. Next Sunday, after Zoom church, we will meet with UUA stewardship consultant, Kay Kreider. There are 2 ways that a community like ours can have financial stability: having strong reserves and having a close to balanced budget. In Ventura, we are amazing at one of these and have struggled with the other, which the pandemic has not helped. The generosity team suggested that the board bring Kay to help us create a 3-year plan to balance our budgets more sustainably. That's what next Sunday after church is about. Then on Sunday, January 16th, again on Zoom after church, we will have our annual mid-year budget review. These 2 meetings are different, and yet they overlap, and I encourage as many of you as possible to attend. So now let us turn our attention and intentions to being together, 2 churches sharing a religious tradition which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Let us enter sacred space.
Good morning. I am Worship Associate Zena Kingshill. We hope that everyone here has a chalice or a candle to light and something to light it with. Let's light our chalices all together. We begin our service with these words from Robert French Levins. Holy and beautiful the custom which brings us together, in the presence of the Most High, to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened, and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of ages, the cathedral music of history. 3 unseen guests attend: faith, hope, and love. Let all our hearts prepare a place. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Carolyn Bierke, the music director. Our opening hymn this morning is Meditation on Breathing. Since we will be thinking today about spiritual practice and being present, I want to take a moment to get our breath moving. So wherever you are, get tall in your body, and using the image of breathing into your whole body, I invite you to take your deepest breath of the day. Let your belly expand and imagine filling it with air. When you exhale, you can drop your jaw and slowly release the air. Now let's do it all together 3 times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, deepest breath of the day. Exhale. One more deep breath. A little more breath. Exhale. Beautiful. Now we will sing. We will sing each line of Meditation on Breathing twice. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Thank you, Carolyn. I needed that. Good morning, everyone. My name's Fidelity. I'm the Director of Education, Religious Education for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. So today we're talking about spiritual practice, and I found that we can sometimes get caught up thinking that a spiritual practice needs to connect us immediately to the cosmic or the infinite. And if we don't feel the presence of the cosmic or the infinite, we must be doing something all wrong. And I know I've felt this before when deep in prayer, looking up and saying, hello, is anyone there? But we might have found that a spiritual practice is sneaking in each and every day where you don't quite expect it. So keeping with the theme of breathing, something as seemingly insignificant and small as a sigh can be a spiritual practice. A sigh? Yes, a sigh. We sigh as adults when we come home from work, we open the fridge and the milk jug is empty. Or for me, it's the half and half in the morning with my coffee. That's the worst, big sigh. We sigh as children when our parents tell us to come home, put down what we're doing, and come back home, it's time for bed. But we also sigh, all of us, at the end of a big belly laugh, gasping for air after a hilarious moment.
A sigh in our body signals for us to relax. Our lungs actually open up, our alveoli reinflate. We take a deep, beautiful, sacred pause. Our blood pressure and our heart rate goes down. Breathe in. So this is something so simple. It's small. It's something you do each and every day, and it can be sacred. We spontaneously sigh 12 times in 1 hour, or about once every 5 minutes. Once every 5 minutes, we refresh, recalibrate, we take a sacred pause, and your body does it all on its own. And here's the cool thing. Maybe those sacred sighs actually are connecting us to the cosmic and the infinite. So did you know that when you breathe in, every atom of oxygen we breathe in is made of the stuff of stars? It's made of stardust. Those sacred sighs are cosmic after all, and we didn't even know it. We are breathing in and breathing out stardust, created in a bang billions of years ago, and then drawn together by gravity to form me and you, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the children we love. Every single atom of oxygen you breathe in and out is in fact connected to the cosmic and the infinite. We are deeply connected each and every day, and we don't even think about it. It makes you think about it a little bit differently, doesn't it? Sacred sighs, sacred pauses. So for today's Time for the Child, please enjoy the story, The Stuff of Stars, written by Marion Dane Bauer, illustrated by Aqua Holmes. In the dark, in the dark, in the deep, deep dark, a speck floated, invisible as thought, weighty as God. There was yet no time, there was yet no space, no up, no down, no edge, no center. No earth with soaring hawks, scuttling beetles, trees reaching for the sky. There was no sky. No you, no me, only the speck, waiting, waiting. And then the beginning of all the beginnings went bang. And in a trillionth of a second, our universe was born. A cloud of gas unfolded, unfurled, zigged, zagged, stretched, collided, expanded, expanded, expanded. Bits bumped, gathered, and fused. And throughout the cosmos, stars caught fire. Trillions of stars, but still no planets to attend to those stars. And if no planets, then no oceans, no mountains, no hippopotami, no violets blooming in a shady wood, no crickets singing to the night, no day, no night. The stars burned and burned. They burned so long and so hot that some of them exploded, flinging stardust everywhere. And the ash of those dying stars gathered into planets, and the planets circled other stars. But still, no bluebirds, no butterflies, still no snails, no giraffes, still no you, no me. The planets closest to their star stayed very hot, and the ones far away grew very cold. But one lucky planet, a fragile blue ball we call Earth, was neither too far nor too near. It circled its yellow star, the one we call the sun, from just the right distance and with just the right tilt to be sometimes warm, sometimes cool. Perfect for turning that starry stuff into mitochondria, jellyfish, spiders, into ferns and sharks, into daisies and galloping horses. Again and again, stardust gave birth to stardust. Dinosaurs lived and died, making room for humans. Our great-great-great-grandparents and all before them lived and died, making room for more and more children. Then one day, In the dark, in the dark, in the deep, deep dark, another speck floated, invisible as dreams, special as love. Waiting, waiting, dividing, changing, growing, until at last you burst into the world. You took a big breath of the same air once breathed by woolly mammoths. You cried tears that were once salty seas. Your hair, once the carbon in a leaf. You and the velvet moss, the caterpillars, the lions. You and the singing whales, the larks, the frogs. You and me, loving you. All of us, the stuff of stars. Breathe in, breathe out. And finding a spiritual practice that works for you, consider the possibility that you are already whole, already made of the infinite, already cosmic, already sacred. We can find big ways, but also little ways throughout the course of our day to remember that. Sacred pauses, sacred sighs, breathing in stardust.
Ah, wow. Thank you, Fidelity. Breathing. Each Sunday, this congregation gives away our collection to an organization in the larger community or to funds that help people in our own church. We now invite you to donate online or by text. You'll see the link on the next slide, number for the You'll see a link on the next slide, along with a phone number for texting to give, and both will also be posted in the chat. The links for the USSB offering will also be posted in your chat. Our offering today goes to Camp de Benneville Pines, and Zena Kingshill has a personal story to share.
Every quarter, when we are asked for suggestions for offering recipients, my immediate response is Camp de Benneville Pines. Why? As a child, I experienced joy while living in other mountains every summer. As a young adult, I went to de Benneville a few times, back when the metal bunk beds were terrible and the cabins extremely rustic. My then UU church shared a weekend with another church, but one weekend just wasn't enough. As a parent, I discovered family camp, an entire week filled with families and crafts and swimming and food and much nicer wooden bunk beds. As an empty nester now, I really miss family camp. Fortuitously, one of the lasting benefits camp gave me was friends from this church, which encouraged our decision to retire in Oxnard 6 years ago. Camp is a wonderful place. The trees are majestic. The stars at night are brilliant. The air is clear. A sense of peace prevails. It always feels like a spiritual home. But our camp is suffering. It has been hit hard by COVID closures and wildfires, and it is struggling to reimagine itself as we move through this current version of the pandemic. Your contributions today will safeguard our spiritual home on the mountaintop. Thank you for giving generously, as you always do.
Don't worry, be happy. Yeah.
We are grateful for the generosity of this congregation, which weaves a tapestry of love we call community across our county, across counties, across our state. Thank you. Thank you.
Each week, we lift up the joys and sorrows that have been shared with our community. There are two ways to submit a joy or sorrow: from a link on the website, uuventura.org, or a link in our Thursday email bulletin, UUCV this week. When we are together in our physical sanctuary, we drop stones in water for each joy or sorrow. The ripples that go out remind us that we are all connected. Today, in our online sanctuary, we see the image of ripples to remind us of our connection with one another. No joys or sorrows were shared with us this week. So, I invite you now to speak aloud or in your heart or write into the chat the names of those you wish to celebrate or memorialize, or those who may need the loving embrace of this community. By invoking their names, even when we may not hear them, you bring them into this circle of caring that we call community. We hold these names, spoken and unspoken, in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life.
Our middle hymn is based on the beautiful Buddhist spiritual practice of giving and receiving loving kindness. The first time we sing it, we give ourselves loving kindness. The second time we change the I to you and we send loving kindness to each other. And the third time we say we and extend loving kindness out to all beings in the world. Please join me. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Our reading this morning is from Persian mystical poet Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. the sunrise ruby. In the early morning hour, just before dawn, lover and beloved wake and take a drink of water. She asks, "Do you love me or yourself more? Really, tell the absolute truth." He says, "There's nothing left of me. I'm like a ruby held up to the sunrise. Is it still a stone or a world made of redness? It has no resistance to sunlight. The ruby and the sunrise are one. Be courageous and discipline yourself. Completely become hearing and ear and wear this sun ruby as an earring. Work. Keep digging your well. Don't think about getting off from work. Water is there somewhere. Submit to a daily practice. Your loyalty to that is a ring at the door. Keep knocking, and the joy inside will eventually open a window and look out to see who's there."
I invite you now into a time of stillness and meditation. Allow yourself to arrive fully wherever you are. Notice the sensations in your body, your face, your hands, your feet. Notice your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel your breath enter and then leave your body. Feel your breath in your whole body. Arrive here with attention, with intention, with presence. A silent meditation.
Lectio Divina is a very old spiritual practice that means divine reading. It involves reading a text a number of times and noticing how the meaning deepens. The special music today is based on the words of Theodore Parker, and it could be thought of as a musical Lectio Divina. I wrote the music to bring out the parts that touch me. I invite you to listen the first time through, and then if you would like to, add a word or phrase in the chat that has meaning for you. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, the good heart
Good morning. No, sorry. I got caught up in the music and caught up in the words that were working for me from that. Thank you, Carolyn. And go right ahead and keep putting in the words, even as I don't usually say this, but even as I am preaching, throw any of your words, your Lectio Divina words, into your chat. Here in Ventura, and you all in Santa Barbara, welcome to as well. So there I sat at a meditation center nestled into the gentle, golden California hills at a retreat with peace activist and Buddhist teacher Joanna Macy. And I finally got it. It became utterly clear to me that the most important thing I could do to save the world was to sit and meditate. I was doing more by sitting on my meditation pillow than I could do in any other place or in any other way. I knew this to my core, the kind of pure, clear understanding that can arise during long periods of meditation. Not that this let me off the hook for acting for justice in the world, but I knew that being in a place, that place of compassion and love for myself and for the world, was more powerful than any single action I could take. I was simultaneously at peace and completely exhilarated. What a great retreat, I thought. Yeah. Less than an hour later, after a break, I returned to the meditation hall, ready to save the world. I settled onto my pillow, adjusted a blanket around me, closed my eyes, and noticed my breath. I opened one eye and looked around the hall to see who was there and who was late. I closed my eyes again and breathed. I opened them again and noticed through the windows how the sun was warming the hills. I closed my eyes again and was just settling in when the man who was sitting in front of me arrived at the meditation hall. He was late. I noticed the judgments I held about this man as he tried to sit down so quietly. I noticed them and I let them go. This time, I closed my eyes and kept them shut. I breathed hard. Now I would truly start to meditate. It wasn't working. My breath didn't slow at all. In fact, my heart was racing. How could I possibly sit for another 2 minutes, let alone for a whole hour? This was awful. I wanted nothing more than to tear my skin off my body and run screaming from the room. So much for saving the world. I firmly believe that regular spiritual practice, like meditation, does make a real difference in the world. Having a daily practice of some kind is vital to whatever work we do in and for the world, including the work of saving it. It grounds us, gives us space to be, time to reflect, a path to healing wounds we carry. Yet, such practice is generally not even encouraged in a hyper achievement culture like ours. For meditation, spiritual practice is decidedly not a quick fix. It requires determination, patience, attention. And frankly, sometimes I just rather go shopping. A spiritual practice is not a distraction from all the ways that we create to suffer, though it may well be a path toward healing those ways that we suffer, our wounds that we carry, a way perhaps to metabolize the dissatisfactions, the despair. This is why Rumi says, work, keep digging your well. Don't even think about getting off from work. Water is there somewhere. Water is there somewhere. A spiritual practice is important precisely because our spirits long to be filled with loving kindness, to be well, peaceful, and at ease. We long to feel whole, and we wish for all of that loving kindness to be shared with all who we know and love, and strangers across on the other side of the planet. We long to feel whole. We long to flourish and become. Getting a spiritual life helps us find meaning and purpose, for there is water somewhere, and with it, we can save the world. Educator Parker Palmer has written, "One sign that I am violating my own nature in the name of nobility is a condition called burnout. Though usually regarded as the result of trying to give too much, burnout, in my experience, results from trying to give what I do not possess. The ultimate in giving too little. Burnout is a state of emptiness, to be sure, but it does not result from giving all I have. It merely reveals the nothingness from which I am trying to give in the first place." End quote. Over these last 2 years, it has been so easy to feel burnt out. From a flurry of activity and the flips and the flops and the pivots we've been making daily and weekly and yearly, feeling that there's just never enough time, even though there's so much extra time, sort of. Drained by all of the needs and expectations of others, at least perceived expectations of others, perhaps just expectations we are placing upon ourselves. Drained also by the feelings of loneliness and despair from locking down again and isolating. Perhaps coming face to face with that inner sense of emptiness that Palmer talked about. Burning out, not because we're giving too much, instead because we don't take the time to fill ourselves in the first place. These COVID times can be a great time to take up a practice, and simultaneously being the very worst time of all, a paradox that I know so well. And still, I encourage you all. I encourage you all to take up some kind of practice, because having a grounding practice may be the only way to survive these grinding days. A daily practice can help us find the water that will keep the well full. Yet a practice need not necessarily mean hours on a meditation cushion, which is the first thing many of us think of. There are all sorts of possible practices. Fidelity, who told us a story earlier, recently shared a web page with me called Spirituality and Practice: Resources for Spiritual Journeys. One page on the website has a spiritual practice toolkit. It offers 260 practices inspired by all the religious and spiritual traditions. And best yet, it has them alphabetized with multiple practices for each letter, from attention to zeal, with forgiveness, imagination, openness, play, shadow, wonder, and so many more in between. Quite a toolkit. To develop some kind of daily spiritual discipline, we need not adopt an established practice rooted in an ancient tradition. The holy does have so many names, although I do want to point out that "don't worry, be happy" was the spiritual practice suggested by Meher Baba, an ancient guru from the East, which I think often to people sounds so facile, so simple, so simplistic. And I want to note that just getting to the place of not worrying and letting go of those things and being happy is a profound spiritual practice. And so it need not be wackingly complicated. As Fidelity told us, something seemingly insignificant as a sigh can be a spiritual practice. A sigh that tells our body to relax, opens our lungs, and allows our alveoli to reinflate. When we take such beautiful, sacred breath, every atom of oxygen we breathe is ultimately made of stardust, a single, simple, sacred sigh that connects us again to all that is. So, start where you are. Find a practice in something that is already a part of your life. Walking the dog, doing the dishes. It needn't be elaborate or deep or incredibly serious. And it's not supposed to be one more thing to add to your to-do list and feel overwhelmed by. Light a candle each morning, read a poem at night. A colleague I know used to hand out dental floss to his congregation whenever he preached on spiritual practice. The spiritual part lies in the intention, not just in the action itself. It lies in the quality of attention and the discipline you bring to it. Practices are not about zoning out, as some think of meditation. Rather, it's about zoning in, zoning all the way in, being as fully present as possible to what is happening in the moment. And yes, dear parents out there, raising your children is a powerful spiritual practice in and of itself. It asks of you a kind of presence in the moment and, well, lots and lots and lots of practice. Such practices, as Rumi says, take courage and discipline. He tells us to submit to a daily practice, for our loyalty to it is a ring at the door. Yet loyalty and commitment and discipline don't all add up to perfection. It is a practice after all. And discipline need not mean tyranny. Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh teaches a gentle practice of bringing mindful awareness to daily tasks. This can turn our lives into a kind of living meditation. He is known for saying things like, when you are eating, just eat. When you are walking, just walk. There is a story, which may be apocryphal, and I love it all the same. There is a story of a day when one of Thich Nhat Hanh's students came upon this wise teacher eating and reading the newspaper at the same time. The student was shocked, and perhaps secretly a little pleased to find the teacher apparently breaking one of his own rules. And the student said, teacher, what are you doing? You always taught us when you are eating, just eat. But you are reading the newspaper too. Reportedly, Thich Nhat Hanh looked up from his paper and simply replied, when you are eating and reading the newspaper, just eat and read the newspaper. A daily practice works best with a balance of discipline and gentleness and humor at ourselves and at the practice, with the practice. And all of that always takes practice, which is why it is called practice. And it need not be done in isolation, just alone on your meditation cushion. Participating in community is also a practice. It takes a lot of practice sometimes, and we still haven't always gotten it right, but we do as well as we can all the time. Coming to church regularly is a profound spiritual practice. The depth of relationship people find in covenant groups can also be another significant spiritual undertaking. Of course, you're thinking the minister would tell us to come to church every Sunday. And indeed, I think church going is a fine and important, a really valuable spiritual practice. Yet it matters less the practice you choose and more the intention of making it a consistent part of your life. And I get to that so many spiritual practices are connected with being outdoors in nature, where yes, there is the breath of the universe to breathe in, and there are trees to hug and beauty to explore and experience that touches our souls. So it just matters the intention, the attention that you give to the moment where you are when you are practicing. Make it a consistent part of your life. Keep knocking, Rumi says, and the joy inside will eventually open a window and look out to see who's there. I speak about our church as a transformative community of shared ministry. And we will be even more transformative individually and collectively. Our ministry will be more deeply shared if each of us finds a spiritual practice. Such practice can create a wellspring of refreshment and delight that will keep us all going. through these challenging times and the challenges the future will bring. We can already see those challenges clearly, even as the pandemic looms large in our lives now and looms large in our lives again. Having a spiritual practice is not an easy path to fix all and make despair disintegrate. Yet it can give you a connection to what is good and holy within yourself, so that you may then act with greater integrity and sureness. It doesn't make the work of saving the world or raising our children or living more lightly on the planet necessarily so much easier, but it does give us solid ground from which to act. It gives us a source of water and refreshment to keep going. Oh, yes. And then there's always the joy inside. So find a practice, keep going, be courageous and strong, hold each other, and keep knocking at the door. The joy inside will open a window and look out to find you. Amen. May it be so. I invite you now into a time of prayer. Holy beingness of many names and no name, gentle spirit of wholesome discipline, patience, commitment, joy. Spirit of life which dwells within and among and beyond us this day and always. May we keep our hearts open. May we find practices of play, of wonder, of beauty, awe, reverence, aliveness, to bring to each moment of our lives. May our practices be practice that we learn and grow better at, and yet always call us into more and deeper, fuller flourishing and liveliness. May we carry forth the joyful spirit, the commitment, the power of the lives of our ancestors, thinking this day of Betty White and Sidney Poitier. May we stay refreshed, find the water, keep digging and find more for ourselves and others, that we may do the work of democracy, live more lightly on the planet, offer each other love and refreshment, kindness and beauty. And may all those who are ill find healing. May those who are in despair find hope. May those who are without shelter find home. And may all those suffering conflict and war throughout the world, may we find peace. Amen. And blessed be.
Please join me in our closing hymn, Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way.
Please join me in reading the words on the screen. Then join Reverend Dana in extinguishing your chalices at home. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment, those we carry into our lives until we are together again.
So after the postlude, everyone will be placed in breakout rooms for a virtual coffee hour, and both in Ventura and in Santa Barbara. And even if you are new to Ventura or you just joined in with Santa Barbara, I encourage you all new folks to join into these breakout rooms. Although if you wish, that was a great time for you to join your group or opt out at that point. And may I suggest that you start by talking about spiritual practices that you currently do or something that you are considering taking up. I leave you with these words adapted from UU religious educator, Dr. Nita Penfold. No matter what they tell you, let it be about joy. Let it be about the sacred. Self-surviving, no, thriving, shining its way to knowledge within. Let it be about blooming, the unfolding of the universe through you. And let it be about joyfully saving the world. Go forth in peace, go forth in good health, go forth in love, go forth and get a spiritual life. May it be so.